Hi, my name is Perry Carpenter, and I'm the author of a book called Transformational Security Awareness. Here are 5 fundamental principles that underlie everything else within that book. The first principle is really what I call the knowledge intention behavior gap. And that is, just because we know something doesn't mean that we intend to act on that knowledge. The same way that when we see a speed limit sign, we make a judgment about whether that applies to us in the moment. And there's also not only a gap between knowledge and intention, there's a gap between intention and action. Just because I intend to do something doesn't mean that I will actually do it. Thus, all of these unfulfilled New Year's resolution lists that we have, where we want to eat better, or go to the gym more, or save more money, or spend more time with family, or do more self-care, and all those things, we make in the moment trade-offs based on an urgent need that puts off the strategic thing, the long-term benefit that we get. And we're always doing that, whether we think about it at the time or not. And so there's a gap between knowledge, there's a gap between intention, there's a gap between intending something and actually acting on it as well. Now, the second, third, and fourth fundamental principle flow out of the knowledge, intention, behavior gap. And they are what I call the 3 realities of security awareness. Number 1 is, just because I'm aware doesn't mean that I care. Number 2 is, if we try to work against human nature, we will fail every single time. And number 3 is, what our employees do is way more important than what they know. Now let me back up there for a second. What our employees do is way more important than what they know. Here's how I can illustrate that. Knowledge itself has never stopped a breach. The thing that will stop a breach or allow a breach at the time is the action that somebody takes. Now, that can be based on knowledge, or that can be in the absence of knowledge, but it's action that will allow or prevent a breach. And so we need to think about behavior management principles in everything that we do when it comes to security awareness. So we had one principle, which is the knowledge, intention, behavior gap. We had the 3 realities of security awareness, so that's 2, 3, and 4. And now the 5th fundamental principle that I'll talk about is this pithy phrase. At all times, we are either building strength or we are allowing atrophy. In the same way that if you only go to the gym once a year or once every 3 months, all you know is how pitiful you are. That same principle holds true for security awareness. If you only do once a year training, your people aren't really learning anything. You're definitely not changing behavior, because you have all of these things going on, like the decay of learning, the fact that people don't apply knowledge when they don't believe it's relevant to them at the time, and so on. So at all times, we're either building strength or allowing atrophy. And what that means is that we need to build our security awareness programs with frequency and reinforcement in mind. If you've ever played that game or watched a number of kids play this game where you throw a ball up in the air or a balloon up in the air, and the entire goal of the game is to have everybody keep that in the air as long as possible. By every time it starts to get low, somebody has to smack it back up in the air. The same is true for your security awareness messaging and the principles that you want to get across, is you're always having to keep those things up in the air so that you deal with the fact that the awareness and the carrying of those things is decaying at all times. You're always moving from order to chaos. You're always moving from strength to atrophy unless you're proactively building that by keeping those messages and those behaviors afloat. Well, that's it for this short video. Thank you for watching. I hope that you found it useful. If you like what you hear, feel free to pick up the book, Transformational Security Awareness, available where all fine books are sold, or the link in the description. And if you'd like to reach out to me, I'd certainly be happy to connect on LinkedIn or Twitter and see where the conversation goes from there. Till then, thanks for watching.